Hey, 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 your lipstick stains on the front lobe of my left side brains. I knew I wouldn't forget you, and so I went and let you blow my mind. You're my mind, your sweet moonbeam, the smell of you in every single dream I dream, I dream. I knew when we collided, you're the one I had decided who's one of my kind. Hey, soul sister, ain't that Philippine Antics on the radio? Stereo, the way you move ain't fair, you know. Hey, soul sister, I don't wanna miss a single thing you do tonight. Hey, 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 hey. Just in time, I'm so glad you have a one-track mind like me. You gave my life direction, a game show love connection we can't deny. I'm so obsessed, my heart is bound to beat right out of my untrimmed chest. And I'm always gonna wanna blow your mind. Hey, soul sister, ain't that Philippine Antics on the radio? Stereo, the way you move ain't fair, you know. Hey, soul sister, I don't wanna miss a single thing you do tonight. The way you can cut a rug, watch it.
Hey, good morning, guys. What is going on? All right. I call it an impromptu live. I call it a whatever live stream. A woolly dooley dooley live stream. What is up? Um, this is going to be a topic of conversation today, some awareness on multiple levels. I want to hear from people in regards to this topic today. Expat John, another expat John in the Philippines, geriatric expat down, people. Geriatric expat down. So, um, so basically, um, there is another gentleman. I was just minding my business, editing regular footage, playing around, doodling with music this morning, and doing my Sunday thing here in the Philippines. And I come across an article, and I was like, another one. And I'm like, you know. And I started reading into a story, and the guy's been here a long time. Okay. So keep an open mind. We are not collecting for this person. We never collected for anybody. If we give out to anybody, we do it on our own, like making like a contribution to this gentleman and some others that we had. Like there was Banana Man and the World's Strongest Man that helps out with the kids over there. We had, and help because he needed heart surgery. There was the other gentleman that helps out with kids that Sunshine put up. These were all legit people, okay? This gentleman appears to be pretty legit. He's an 81-year-old man. His name is John Tewell. Okay, he's been in the Philippines since 2007. Okay, so he's been here a long time. He should be able to figure this game out like really, really like heavy duty. Problem is he's 81 and his wife has heart issues. So he does the archives and does the historical photos. He's been uploading them on Flickr and he puts them on Facebook and he's been trying to preserve them. I'm thinking he's just putting them out like on the internet. I don't think he's actually like preserving and restoring the photos themselves. He could be. I don't know how far he goes, but he's known in his community back in the United States for Like he would work with the kids, take them for plane rides. Let me go ahead and put some of this up here as I'm talking about it here. He's known for doing his flying and everything. He did free rides for the kids, spent a lot of time. There's his wife. And the gentleman, see if I think that'll come back up again. I want to kind of miss George here. This up and coming article right here is the one that caught my attention. Also, he's had several articles done on him, like Phil Starr and a couple other newspapers throughout the years have done, like like they've just done articles on him in regards to him restoring photos for the Philippines. So it looks to be like all kinds of Filipinos are passing this around. There's it looks like the contributions are currently going to his wife. Okay, so then you guys are like, usually when I see that, that's kind of I try to see who like where the money's going to and all that, because sometimes it's just a random third and fourth party that gets involved. Like somebody will get somebody and then somebody will collect the money. They don't have the Gcash or the other account, so they get somebody else involved. They are saying on different levels, like even the people that he deals with on restoring like the photos and archiving and everything, they gave an update on him recently on what's going on with him. So it seems to be like it's all up and up. Supposedly, let's see. Supposedly they just took him to the hospital. He's super frail, needs medical care, of course, and they're saying that like all kinds of stuff. Like he's going to need like hospice, which I thought was end of care, like the end of time, of course. And the other part that comes with it is that like he's got pets and everything, but he was displaced. This has been going on for a while. I don't know if anybody else has seen any of this, because this guy's been complaining about the same problem that's got him displaced from his current house. Like I guess March, possibly last year. I'm a little confused because some of the articles when I put in his name, like where he's posted and other people posted last year exactly, he was talking about he couldn't get to his bank. So this whole thing stems, as most do that end up homeless. I hear one or two things: either the Filipina was the problem and displaced the expats, or I'm hearing it's bank problems. This is the biggest cause of a downfall of a man here. You guys can come up with whatever you want, but when they come up homeless, it's usually their lady threw them out, or she scammed them after the fact, or this. He claims that Bank of America locked down his account. And I've told people you need multiple ways to get to your money. You have to get multiple ways to be able to get to your money. And if anything else, being he's been here this long, living here that long, and that appears to be his wife is Filipino. I could be totally wrong. Um, that I would have established a bank here. A lot of those things like he could have started an account here and had money put in it. Now, according to the article, he has a pension, but no mention of a Social Security. He's 81. The guy did work. So I don't understand why he's not talking about the Social Security, but they're saying he's so broke that even the place he's in now, he's possibly going to be displaced, and that it's like really rough. Like they're basically roughing it. They're starving. That kind of situation is going on with this guy, all because of a banking issue. And so I'll probably go over some of his articles. See if I can look to see, because I did a lot of screenshots and stuff. So I could actually see what's going on. But good morning to everybody. Good morning, Scott, and Aziza's World. Scott's in the house. Chosen One in the house. Timothy. If you guys aren't subscribed, make sure you subscribe. Let's see. Tony is in the house. Slick Rick is in the house. Philippine Prepping is in the house. They won't go home. So I'm not sure what that exactly means. So, probably speaking to the person before. He can't go home. He's medically, there's a few things. I'll tell you why he can't go home here in a few minutes. But right now he can't. He can't leave. That's what usually happens. Medically, or otherwise. They just can't get out of the country. And that's another thing. And you guys can nose up all you want about me calling it a geriatric expat, because once you get to a certain age, like I know these guys are coming here, in their 60s, mid 60s, but the guy's 81, and it kind of puts them in another category where they're really needing medical care. And that's a different level. And especially it looks like that his wife is not super young. In other words, she's got her own medical issues, her own problems. There. Mhm. There was like an update. Okay, so this is a person putting something out 2 days ago. I'm requesting um, to put this post out to a wider audience about the predicament of John Tewell, an American who has been living in the Philippines, which I found out it was since '07. But he and his wife have fallen on bad times. His health insurance is canceled, which, surprise, I don't know if he has Social Security and it was just through Medicaid or Medicare, like if he got any supplements, all that would have possibly been canceled, or he canceled his own, but his health insurance is gone. Plus, once you start like going over the age of 70 with medical issues, you can either be dropped by your insurance company here or there, or just age will do it. There was limitations for my dad after he turned 70, like being able to keep insurance. It says their health insurance was canceled, but can be reinstated if they go to the US. Also, the ATM that they have stopped working, which of course the ATM did not, of course, stop working. Something happened and they actually stated, one second here. They actually stated that there was a problem with the actual bank account itself, and reading articles about it. Yeah, I mean, the card might have stopped because the account got blocked. Why did it get blocked? Understand with bank accounts that when you use credit cards outside, like sometimes you have to call every 6 months and tell them you're still international, or you have sometimes it's every few months you have to do this to update them. Addresses. I mean, who could still be living? As I'm to understand, he's got a son over there, but even their son, in another article, it said that he's not answering. So they've been trying to get a hold of their son, and nothing. So like crickets. So is that where the paperwork goes? So if they sent him a new card or sent him something stating, hey, there's this, and that going on, and it got rejected somehow, then the bank will lock the account up. There's so many different reasons why the bank will lock up an account, guys. So it's too bright. All right, bright light. So let me go on with the article here. John is a chronicler chronicler of the Filipina and old photos of our country, which he did at his own expense for years. Now John needs our immediate help and anything helpful in any consideration. He does live in Imus, Cavite, so the temporary lodging is helpful to him, but he's needs to be there too. He's 81 years old. Um, he needs lodging 24/7. It says including food 24/7 until his paper and documents are sorted out. So dun 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 dun. There it is, guys. So the guy also let his passport run dry. Okay, he's 81. I'd be lucky with my disabilities to be able to make a trip to deal with, dealing with your passport. But I haven't had to deal with that yet. But as I'm to understand, and correct me if I'm wrong on this, some guys have actually mailed away for it. Like you can get services to help you do these. You don't even have to make the appearance in like Manila or something. I'm hearing that it could even be delivered back to you. But he did not renew his passport. So this is a major problem, guys. So let's see. Here it is again, face switching, nothing all morning. Donations can be sent by this QR code. And so they've got several QR codes to like banks and everything else for him. But they're saying all of it is tied to his wife, but one of them said B something. So there is a third name in there, which always makes people nervous. I mean, I get that he's having banking issues, but he doesn't have a Gcash himself here, or is there? I get it and don't get it at the same time. But these are becoming, you know, more and more prevalent problems for the expats is the banking issues and the passport issues and immigration being behind. Like they never established anything for that here, and they're still on tourist visas for years and years and years. So yeah. Well, actually, it says here on the page of Via Dolores, but it didn't say Via Dolores when I went to it. It said Via with a different name. Could be her maiden name or whatever. So I'm not doubting that the guy's not in problems, everything, but the problem is it started over a year ago. He said he only had a couple months worth of money. Things got worse um, for the gentleman. Get out here. Okay. And so, besides not having his passport, he cannot leave to go take care of these problems. They've done several. There's another photo of him where they did an article on him because he does the archive photos and helps. But I don't think he does it for the US government. I'm not trying to like down what help he's done. And it's really nice. They really are nice photos and that he's been putting on the website. And I know that that actually takes time to do all of this. But he doesn't like work for the government or anything. He's been doing on his own time. Seems to be something he's been doing in his spare time, in his retirement and everything. So it is very sad. And now it just looks like he needs all kinds of care. So he's not going to be able to go back to deal with the money. But where's the Social Security? That's my curiousness. Is you can have that direct deposit. Minimally, that's what people should do if his resident status um, allows it, and he can set that bank up. Then he should be able to get a Social Security here with no problems. Even if he's only got to go once a month to go get the. I'm curious on that too. Philippine prepping. Why no passport? His passport expired. He let it expire, and they're saying, according to the person, they're saying that somebody from the embassy had already went to see him. And so if this started a year ago, with him being elderly, I don't know why he hasn't kind of resolved anything. And they're saying he can't make it to the embassy to complete his passport. But somebody remind me, isn't there services? I thought I heard Mr. Fluffy at one point, or Streak Philippines, stating that he had his passport done that way, and I've heard others say it. So, but remember, it's the world of the internet now, AI crap and other misinformation. I'm not saying those people. I'm just saying with all the information I've been reading, I personally don't need to. My passport was brand new when I entered the country. And maybe I would do what he does, just kind of let it expire because I'm not leaving situation. It could be where he was thinking. But it's also one of the main IDs that you have here. Besides, like me, now that I have the 13A, I have a different ID. Maybe he's still on a tourist visa. Who actually knows? But the only thing that I don't like about these situations, no matter how legit it is, do we know that him and his wife are still together? I'm just throwing some stuff out there. Do we know that it's not going into a family member's account? Because people are sending screenshots all over Facebook showing all this money is coming in. So it's starting to pour in. And it's like, okay, well then, it's not like he specifically needs 40,000 for a heart surgery like these last few where they did like a GoFundMe page and all that. No, they're putting out like 3 different links to drop the money in there, and it's like, I know people want to help, and it's up to each individual to do it. So when we give to those type of situations, we just do like 10, 15, $20. It's you got to check into all of these things because there's been older gentlemen that have there's cons going on for this, but this guy he appears to be the real deal, but you wonder about his passport. Why, like he had said, I'm going to pull some of the statements up that he's really made some statements against the bank and everything, and I think even Biden got thrown into the mix at some point. I was just going to put expat John on there, and I'm like, yeah, no, because there's been another expat John going on. All right, that's kind of weird. He's got a bunch of code letters on his, instead of writing, he's got a bunch of code. That's kind of weird. I mean, somewhat like code. All right. So he has a previous statement on here where he says, "Be patient. Please be patient with me. Believe me, my life changes when a person reach when my or I guess he's saying people's lives change when they get into their 80s. I woke up this morning. I had no internet, but it's working now. Taking notice by feeling the wall one walks besides it. Want to go back when there was no Microsoft. I was using IBM DOS operating. Yeah, weren't we all? Let's see. My wife is not the problem. This is almost exactly a year ago. It's the landlord's neighbor that apparently gets a kick out of being mean. I'm being forced out of my home by this low life. I will need help carrying heavy boxes to the moving van this coming Thursday. So here's the thing. You have to be careful in that situation too, guys, because I don't know what the random statement means that my wife is not the problem. Does anybody else get like that feeling that his wife was a problem at some point? And he's being forced out of his home. So he's going on slow, like tirades and rants, and ain't nothing wrong with that. I love a good rant. You know, I do, guys. It's now with the age of social media, it's what we actually do. We vent, we talk, we discuss, we try to figure out. It's just that day and age and everything. But shortly after that, actually the same day, so many unsolved problems and personal problems here in the Philippines. Maybe I should shut everything down and go back to the US and let my son take care of me in my 80s. I feel so sad. My life has turned sour. Okay, so I'm feeling sour. Ah, boy. So I'm going back to the US was not a possibility for him last year. He knew he needed his passport renewed. Now, somebody told me, oh, wait a minute. That's right. I digress. He did get a temporary passport, but he didn't leave. Sorry. There I am. I'm looking at the next article down. He did get a temporary passport from the US Embassy, guys. So he did have the option to leave. I'm assuming it's like a lot of the expats there with minimal money. Got a temporary passport. Let's see. What's on my mind? February 2024, feeling despair and abandoned with only just a few good friends. Well, it seems like he's got a lot reaching out right now, or just you got a lot of Filipinos in a circle of passing it around. But then I seen a Filipino dogging another Filipino saying, "Oh, that's all you're going to do is forward on this and not take any action or give any money. And, we don't need that type of help." I'm like, dang, man, even if somebody passes it on for other people to see, because not all Filipinos have money, not all expats have money. To some guys, $10 is $10 here. So, but I seen that today and I'm like, dang, there's a lot of backbiting or as some say crab mentality and everything else going on. So that's right. This was all dealing. All right. Tried again to log into online banking, and then this comes up. Online banking is not available to you at this time. You need to call our customer service. So he actually had gotten like shut down. Yeah, I would be careful. I have tried Bank of America to call through the 800 line through via Skype, and I get the same message from everybody that we cannot help you. I have tried Bank of America's phone number, different phone numbers. They still keep saying, "Sorry, we can't help you." This is very sordid, and it is apparent that they do this to protect themselves. They do not give a damn about me. So goes the USA of today, which used to be a great country on earth, but it is not anymore as Biden sits on his hands and does nothing to fix the problem. Yeah, don't blame Biden and you can blame it on Heidi or blame it on the rain. But yeah, so it's just going on and on and on where he's having issues. Um, what are the three most important things in today's USA and most of the world? Pockets and bank accounts full of money, power and the ability to run over lower income, the poor souls, and the ability to intentionally lie and have it believed. Okay. Well, yeah. So the thing is this is all public. This is a discussion today. This is not meant for the guy not to get help. He evidently needs help, but he is unreachable. So he's got his own thing going on. There was an update as of like 2 days ago, and whoever was helping him through that archive place through Manila said that he was and did go to the hospital, but he's needing a lot of help. So that his cat's going to need to be fed, and that he's going to need, they called it hospice care, which is end of life care and everything. So that's where I'm at on this one. So, the articles can be found. The gentleman's name is there. There's only like he comes up, he's got like 2,300 followers. And of course, a lot of some of these archive photos are older photos. I mean, archived. I'm not sure where he gets them, if he's getting them from one of their sites and then pushing them into other sites. I'm not sure exactly how he's doing that. And so you can find him. He is on Facebook. There, if you put his name in, there are newspaper articles on him. So this has been going on for a little bit, but I guess it just got critical. And so, yeah, no passport, no banking. Where's his social security? That would be my freaking question, man. It'd be like really chosen one. I'll get to you here in a minute, chosen one. Okay, let's get to some of these comments. And, you know, tell me, guys, exactly. I want like a find what you guys are seeing of other expats and end up in bad shape like this. What are the top three things that you guys actually hear? And for me, it's usually banking, not having enough money. Like they'll come here on a very small pension, or they bring a bunch of savings and they wait for a few years and then blow through it. Or, the girlfriends, wives, or husbands, or whoever, they actually problems with them is the top issues that I've been seeing. So, and again, for those that are just coming in, this is just a quick pop in live stream. What's going on, chosen one? Who's this guy? Can't keep up anymore. Yep. Good morning. Good morning, Timothy from Ohio, Columbus, home of the Buckeyes. AO Buckeye. I was thinking about making some of them because I've really been trying since the first of the year to really try to eat more healthy, like the processed chips and that, and try to cut back a little bit. And I was going to make like the peanut butter, like the Buckeyes with like real dark chocolate. And I was like craving some of those. My grandmother used to make protein balls, like she would add extra protein powder in them and stuff. Still miss them. Trump coin released yesterday already had $5 million market cap. Interesting. This is the longest 2 days of my life. There's a lot going on to process. Yeah, I didn't, but there's so much going on out there right now. Whoa, I happened to go on YouTube the perfect time. Hey, human rights. What is going on, Harry Walsh? Hi, Heidi and all. Supposed to get snow tomorrow afternoon, Deer Park, New York. My sister's up north, actually, all sledding and was playing in snow most recently. I miss it sometimes, and then other times, I it's kind of like the evil is there both ways. Like I'm in the cold, I get stiff, I can't move, and I've mentioned this to people. And like today, yesterday, last couple of days, again, humidity's up, and then my skin starts to break out, like just from the humidity. So I have to put the dehumidifier on in here, and then just feels like I don't know. So it's like good and bad, but it's better than freezing for sure. Hey, Scott. Slick Rick. Sorry, Scott, I put you up there. Hey, everybody. Slick Rick. Don't know him, but instead of asking for a place to stay, medical and financial, why not just a plane ticket home? It's the best way if the health fails. And I would agree. And that's where I'm at this is it's a discussion because this is happening so often now. Like just recently, there's been a half a dozen in the last 90 days that have come up with serious. You had Mark Thornton that went into the hospital and, ended up passing away, not taking his medicine, trying to save money. Sorry, he was still taking shortcuts and evidently he didn't do that well because Mark Thornton's wife is living with her sister. And, it's not like they're in some mansion or something and the house is just so big. No, she's actually living with somebody else because there is no other preparations for her. And then you have, like I said, the Banana Man gives out 2 meals a day to the really poor down by Abacan Bridge. And these kids are really, really in bad shape. They're basically living in cardboard boxes. And he's a saint. And he's been down there and he has all kinds of people that help him. And there was one of his guys that helped him. And he's the world's toughest man or strongest man at one point. He ended up needing heart surgery. They did a GoFundMe for him and raised it. I think it was 40,000, 70,000, and people got right up on that and got the money for him right away. Then we had, I don't know the gentleman's name that Sunshine talked about. I know that he also helped with kids, and there were several different news articles in the United States and here where they talked about his goodwill work and everything. So really nice guy. There's so many of them, it's hard for me to keep up on their name, but he did not make it. And so they had raised some money for him. His health did not make it through that. And then you have, of course, um, Expat John, the one that Old Dog New Trick covered forever. That went on for a few years and he was sick. Like he was skin and bones, needed dental work. There was all kinds of things. He had a mass on his neck and he just wasn't taking care of himself. That was a real hot mess on that. The problem with that is so many people were sending Paul money and then I think they were coming through different areas of giving him money and stuff. And then in the end, there was that's just something that would be a bad situation to go through again. And I don't think Paul will mess with that again. Not because of legal issues. I just think it became a mess because I think he was dealing with Expat John and the wife. And I think there was some jealousy on the amount of money coming in and all these things. And I think he was trying to he did pay hospital bills direct and he was buying the actual items he needed. And I think John wanted the cash. And so that's another legal side of this. And then if we go into what's going on with this guy, the thing that bothers me is that he didn't have anything established like in his name direct. And so it makes you question these days, like what's going on. Again, this is no personal attack on this guy. I mean, if it had been in his name for his Gcash, and then you've seen that he's doing all this stuff, and there's news articles, and you kind of prove who the guy is and do a little detective work. But even the name on the Gcash is not apparent to be his wife's name, although they called her that, but maybe it's her maiden name or something. But so there's money being collected in a couple different places for him in regards to this. But plane ticket, because his passport was bad, and I guess something should have been started last year, but I think they attempted it last year too. When this all started, it's been almost like a year since this whole shenanigan started, and they said he only had a year to use that passport. I guess he didn't. Understand the embassy will rarely get involved. I mean, they may go check on you and they've got this new program where they'll go through and do these extra things, but in general, they're not your savior. They're not going to just give you a ticket. As I'm to understand, they'll lend you the money for the ticket, but you have to have 3 or 4 people that'll vouch for you in the United States before they give it to you. And then, of course, you have to repay it. Don't repay it, then you're not going to be able to exit back out. So he could have. Maybe he didn't want to leave his wife behind. Maybe it didn't include his wife. I don't think they're just going to pay for a ticket for her. I don't know. I really couldn't tell you guys any of that. But I want to know where his Social Security went. This doesn't appear to be a man that did not work. If you look at his photos, this is not a non-working man. So where's his Social Security, and why isn't he at least getting 2,000 a month, 1,900, whatever, 18, whatever, even the basic checks? Why that wasn't at least direct deposited here, or he didn't make an arrangement. It is so scary when these guys leave everything in one bank. And here it is. He's only relying on Bank of America and they're locking him out. And then it's based on an ATM card. So if something went wrong to the fact that he can't even, they said insufficient funds. Maybe they shut the account down and then they just won't do nothing. And that's not for Bank of America to go back through and do. If it's unaccessible and it said insufficient funds, maybe it's been down for an entire month and they'll shut that down once so many fees come in. I mean, I'm not exactly got the insides of knowing that, but that's usually what could happen if it becomes overdrawn too much. So, but yeah. Good evening, everyone. Yeah, they won't go home. He's been here a long time. He's 81. I'm not helping him. Where is his family, his grandkids? I'd rather help the youth. And he did say that. He did say that he had to go home and live with his son, but he rarely was talking about his wife. Even I'd have to look at his photos. I didn't even, that would be my question too, because they're mentioning his wife, but they're not mentioning anything else. Now, I will let you know that I did reach out. I don't expect to hear from him or whoever is watching his account to see, hey, I can tell you how to do a direct deposit of your Social Security here, step to step, and answer any questions. At least you can get your Social Security here or something. Or, to see if there's something further that I can actually do on the side to actually help him and take time and speak with him. But I doubt I hear anything from him. He sounds not quite terminal, but again, it sounds like he's got some severe malnutrition and medical issues. Mm, Yeah, a lot of these photos in here are the archived ones. And archived, I'm just curious where he actually was able to get all the photos. Yeah, it's a bunch of photos. Hey, what is going on? Like a spot, like a bug. Hey, what is going on, Scott Mullis? There are air ambulances, sure. But if you're talking, there are different levels. Are you talking about? I know that Ted had given me. I have a list of some phone numbers of people that do flights back to the U.S. for some of the like medical and like transports in and out for different reasons, and I'd have to look all that up again. But God, that was about 2 years ago. He gave me that information. Air ambulances in the Philippines, for the most part, are extremely expensive. So, like, if you're hurt out on Shergal and need to be flown out, you're going to pay an arm and a leg, and they're just not going to do it for free either. So, yeah, they're really highly expensive. Yeah, air ambulances offer transport worldwide. So that's what you were talking about is when you say ambulances, yeah, like airplanes that actually go in and out. And there are individuals, yes, that do offer when it's based on certain, but it's, if it was so, I was just wondering why more haven't been flown out that way. There's got to be some other qualifications, or basically when you guys arrive here, always expect it to be like Wild Wild West in one way or another. So, as far as medical services, where you're living at in the Philippines, being able to get in and out. Once you enter this country, do not expect the embassy to help you, other people to help you. You have to be able to rely on yourself. And that's what scares me about the geriatric expats. And these are guys that start to flip in over 70, 75. And so, with a lot of different issues. So, Hey, good morning, Angelo. Angelo in the house. Cats sleeping all day. Yeah, they do, and that's another weird thing is that just about that time because we get up somewhere around 5. I always talk about that because that's what time we get up. After a few hours, they poop themselves out, run well, pooped up and tired out. I'm staring at Kitty and puppy sleeping. Yeah, I should have left years ago. You have to leave before you get to that point of not being able to. And that's another thing. It scares me, and I've talked about it, and people don't want to face like that type of reality or denial. For like me, I have no intention to go back to the US. So I try to talk to George, like we always say, make your plans and do this, and that. And a lot of people are thinking they're just going to be like young forever. They may feel young, but I was telling George, there's so much up and coming in the next, I said, we got about another good 10 years before things really go south. And I said, I am concerned, because do they have nursing homes and facilities? Yes, but they're not cheap and they're not exactly all US standard. Like some of them can really cost. So, I just don't know how Filipinos would even go to these. These got to be more like expat ones. They're expensive. So, seems like good info. I just found your channel and show recently. Hey, Scott, I updated my taxes in Canada and healthcare after moving out of Canada. That's not trying to be mean, but if you came here to live your final days in the Philippines, be careful what you wish for, I guess. Yeah, because there's so much to process on that. We hear expats that pass away in their houses, and most recently, I keep mentioning the two of them that were found in that Cebu condo and stuff. It's like they didn't take their trash out anymore. It's probably because they just, when you get that old and creaky, and I think about this on a daily basis with my disabilities and lupus and everything. I've only got so much part of the day to have energy and get out and do things. So it's either, they just couldn't do it because they didn't feel good or they were embarrassed to go out because maybe they're just, how people get like self conscious and stuff of like moving like a slow snail as they're walking or they can't or they're hunched over. Who knows why? But the guys stopped taking their trash out. Like they're saying that it was full of bottles and trash and, they're not cleaning or anything and just bad guys. You got other problems that come along in elder age, incontinence, male or female. I mean, guys, I could go on about things that we don't want to even think about. And every day as I'm aging, I do as a woman. I was like, oh man, and all kinds of things start to happen. You can't trust a fart situation, nothing. You sneeze and you wheeze everywhere. And so it just, as you get older, you start to, digress or regress or I guess like your life just don't count on banking. You need emergency funds. Yeah. He had some. He's saying that's what he got by for about a year, and most of us don't. So I'll let you know right now, we would not have a year's worth of funds, at the rate that we're living right now. And to be able to plane ticket, we got some oh shit money, but not that kind of money. And most don't. Most don't. When they talk about that percentage of expats that fully plan, the 10 percenters or whatever they call themselves, I'd probably say that maybe 3 out of 10 can actually do it. But most of them is, like me and George. We're currently living way better than a lot of people here. But as far as having a lot of extra savings in case something happens, I've told you guys that we're not exactly in this, and that's how I am able to, understand even more. And it is scary. It is scary. But my other option is to currently now think about living in the US. And I can't imagine that either. Not the crime, not the immigration crap going on, not anything. There's no way that I'm going to go back there, disabled and give up my social security to try to make more money than I'm getting in social security, which I could, but physically I couldn't. So in other words, yes, I can make more money, but with the job market and everything going on, it's just impossible. So, and a lot of expats won't be honest about that. That's why they actually came, or no, I was just doing my best life. I'm a good looking guy, and I was going to pick me up a girlfriend over there, and I decided just for the heck of it to go to the Philippines, and it's like, yeah, does this man's family hate him? I do not understand these things. Or, it's like me. I only have like X amount of family. I got several sisters and a brother. Um, there's a few of our kids over there, but it doesn't mean they're just working people too. So, like, if I really needed emergency up out of here, then I am lucky because George's family has helped us up several times. He's still got family in the United States. So, more than likely, we would get help. But if all of a sudden I needed major heart surgery and it required 40,000 US, that's different. Our families ain't got that kind of money. So, it's so hot in here every freaking time, man. And I have AC on in here. It's probably just my steroids kicking in. Yes, very sad situation. Good morning, Joyce. Does he even know this is happening? Which one? Anytime you don't have funds available, you should be heading home. Kuya Craig, are you talking about like, does he know they're collecting all the money for him and everything? I'm curious about that because a year ago, I'm not saying that's when they start collecting. This is just recently. So yeah, I mean, if that's what you're referring to, does he or things went bad years ago? It just hit bottom recently. Yeah, and he knew it last year. He said it only had a few more months. I'm curious too on that. He had one for a year, they said. They gave him a 1 year pass. I guess they can set wherever they want, but I mean, that would be the best thing for him to do. But I don't know if they'd set that for his wife, and they didn't mention that's something we don't know. Does his wife have that right now too? The ability to go out with him because they don't have to, like, who knows? We don't even know if she's a citizen or was a person that only had, you know, we don't know what the deal is with his wife. He's been here. We don't know if she's a citizen or maybe he doesn't want to leave her. That's another possibility. But they said it was for 1 year, that he had a year and it was getting ready to expire, but this was like a while back. If you don't have emergency funds or extra money, is your problem to back up if you ran out? Should have extra at 81. You would think so. But things in life happens. I mean, at some point, me and George had some funds, and we've used them in all different spots of our lives and stuff. So not really. And I was listening to a few people like on talk radio, and a lot of Americans. You have like where people are either really uber rich, the middle class is disappearing. And that tends to be where me and George's families, kind of were swaying was in middle class, and it's either you got the poor over there now or the super rich, and the rich are just getting richer, but that's been going on for a long time. But you would think, and a lot of them are in the same boat as us. It's like we could probably handle one or two situations at this point, so but not something severe. And a lot of people are like, "Oh, it's pretty crazy that people consider coming over here without any money or planning or anything, but they do it all the time." And what's the alternative? Paying $2,000 a month rent in the United States, and paying those type of groceries, and $800 to do a car repair, average of $500 car payments, and the cost of gas and living over there is just astronomical. It's a shock to go back there and even think about living. So, um, yeah. So a lot of people just come here. I hope expats every day, Monday through Friday, they say, and what is the truth many times do not match. Gotcha. Right, Tony? I hear you. I hear you, dude. Now I'm sure he might find a way. I bet he goes quiet really quick. We'll see. Maybe. And I thought about that. I was like, dang, man. I said, if I do it, then they're going to think I'm asking for money. I'm like, no, that's up to every individual that wants to go check out his QR codes and give a little something. But This is more of a, advisory, guys. Deal with those banks. That's the harshest thing that people get hit with. That guy that Q helped with, that whole Social Security debacle was over his banking going south. Like paperwork got rejected. So then they rejected his check and it took forever to get that turned around, which I don't understand because if the bank closes, it should have been a matter of going into a local bank, just like I did, and then have the transfer start. You don't have to have it taken up out of one bank to another. So I'm kind of not understanding all of that because it took less than 60 days for mine. Now I had to go in and give ID and fill out forms over taxes, and there's a couple different forms, but I don't understand why it wasn't established very quickly, or was he milking the whole thing for views, which he did get paid well off of that? I don't know. But the direct deposit, and it could have been ID, it could have been, there could have been a lot of things that was holding him up, but he could have had direct deposit. I know he needed medical care. I don't, who knows? Who knows? I use my time to help. I do not give cash. I have bought food from time to time. Yeah. And that's actually really a good thing is to do the time. Like we try to do one-on-one calls with people. We still actually do to help them about coming here. And when we're out and about, yeah, usually it's food. It's very rare. Like we gave Gusty money one time for like to buy certain medicine, but we try not to even do that. So, and we know Gusty personally, so it's not like he was just a random person, but we try to do the food too. In all cases that I have seen on YouTube in the last 10 years, about expats trapped in the Philippines, they are choosing to stay even when given the choice of the plane ticket. Yeah, ask him. Yeah, he will say stay. My guess is his wife is Filipino, like actually not able to leave. And yes, there are many, many expats here that are homeless in Angeles City, Mabalacat City area. Okay, we live in the generalized area. You go 1 mile this way, we're in Angeles. We're like 2 miles from the airport, so we live in the generalized area. So you're going to hear me say Angeles City because it's the bigger one. But the guys that are there, and there's one up here by Dow Gold. They said he's been out there for years. So every now and then, there's like a circle of people that'll say, "Oh, I found this homeless American guy out here," or but he's been making his rounds and going through Facebook where they say, "Hey, he needs help." So then Filipinos will give him food, and then you'll have people that'll go and give him food, and they say he doesn't want to go back either. And then people are like, well, why doesn't the embassy do something? They're not going to. Why isn't he deported? Why aren't they checking his visa? They're not going to mess with him. And so I don't know why they're not. It's funny where they'll do one thing or another, but the most of them do not want to go back. There's quite a few of them here that just hang around in these parks, and it's kind of but the Filipinos are nice and they help them, and it's really great though. Hey, what's going on? Victor, Victor, Victor. What is going on? Thank you. Hi, and like, thank you. The embassy will repatriate with no passport and no money. The embassy will repatriate when you give them. They just don't just do it for no. There are requirements. I'll let you know there are requirements. So, and I'm pretty sure they need that passport. You have to, there's no way to get on these airplanes to get people home. I think that's what the temporary passport is for. So, yeah. And it's a loan minimally. So unless because Paul is part of the embassy old dog, and he just talked, I believe it's just been here in the last year, he discussed how they do that. Like he went through like almost like a whole situation of doing something similar, and in looking up articles, have I dealt with it, went in there, the answer is no. Who has? But as I'm to understand from reading the articles on their site, it's an actual loan. He doesn't want to leave the Philippines. He just wants the help. I've seen this many times. I will not donate a single centavo. I have heard that. I have heard like he knew he was in problem a year ago. This has been going on, and it seems like he mentioned the boxes being carried for him. I get that he's elder and stuff, but I mean, is that just him being entitled like as an American, or he's been here for so long, or I don't know. But I would that is the consensus also. It doesn't matter how old he is or who he is. He knew there were issues up and coming and he's left himself in that. And it does seem like he's semi ragging on the side about different things. And so it's, but then you have people leaving comments like, oh, he's such a good guy and I've known him as a kid and all that. About there. Hey, what is going on? Hi, Philippine. Hi, Aziza. That's why you need cash, emergency funds in the bank. Yeah, but most don't. Yes, most definitely. Time to help the guy, people. Yeah, he can call Trump. Yeah, I will not help anyone until they come into the office and find out the real story. I'm curious. You keep saying into what office? Would you like to relate whatever office you're discussing? Yeah, I'd be curious. You've mentioned office a few times. Let's see. I'd rather leave politics out of it and just focus on the person. Doing okay. Thank you. A little itchy this morning. A lot of humidity going on, but it's a good Sunday morning. So Sundays usually the days that I do just work on music and like I was going to do like more laundry, but I think I'm just gonna chill after this. This was just a quick jump in to say another expat is actually broke and he's an older guy, you know. Like I said, I hesitated because of Q. I was like, they're gonna think that this is all based on. I was like, nah, this is more of a lesson. Get your banking together, people. This guy's banking and not having his social security. Why is there no mention of that other money? Or you know, does he have his Social Security? And he's only mentioning his pensions affected, and he's really collecting it, and then who knows? You know, something, right? What they say and the truth are usually not the same. I help expats date and find this pattern. Oh, you're talking about like them, all the different things that go on. Good morning, Curtis and the gang, and a beautiful day in Zamboanga. How is it going there? It's something about the Philippines that brings the worst of the worst. So many, I think you meant degenerates. Philippines is an international hub of misfits. So is some of the other countries, actually. Actually, I Thailand's a hot mess too, and I know that you know I think the reason they all end up here in the Philippines is because the English barrier, and they can like go to some places that are really really cheap. Although there are in Thailand too, but I don't think they want to deal with the English barrier. People disagree to agree to disagree again. I've been here since '83. Same thing has been happening before my time and will continue when I'm gone. Yeah. I like you solo. I like George, but you can tell that he likes travel vlogging. Yeah, I mean, yes and no. Uh, that was like initially what we did. We didn't do live streams till just a few years ago. So I think officially more than 2 years we've been doing them. And he's into them, but you can, he's with him currently for a while. He's been working that, like I said, when he joins the live streams, he's extremely tired and he likes them. But yes, his out and about and his Ricky content And like when we do the restaurants, like we got another video that'll be coming out tonight where we was up at Candy Palace again and had lunch. And so yeah, I mean he likes the live streams. It's but that's just where it is. But I do miss him being here. But now just the other part of the times he's sleeping. I'm a misfit too, just a different kind of misfit. Yeah, and also George has got another Ricky video coming out. He was even on a basketball court doing some Zumba. So, but the one coming out will be the candy one, and then in a couple days we'll release the other one. So most don't have the funds for it. No, that's most definitely. Yeah, I doubt very many. Even the ones that claim they're uber rich probably wouldn't even be able to. So. Have you ever covered what happens when the expat passes away in the Philippines? Cremation burial costs. We have somewhat. The reason we haven't is it's a being it's such a sensitive topic, AdSense wise, whatever $15-20 we make from it for all the edit. It takes hours to edit those videos. And live streams, we spend a couple hours in the live streams, and then they consider that against the rules. So technically, in one form or another, somewhat it is against the rules. Although others have covered it, they've got sponsors or backups of some other sort. So we can. We would just have to leave out certain words. It's probably time to do one, and I've asked, like George is supposed to go, like talk to a few of them. Funeral parlors and the PH repatriation of the body back home, about 30,000 for the body flight. Yeah, and they're going to range. That's another thing. We give you an ideal here in Angeles City. It's not a popular topic. Like it's just not. So we'd probably get even fewer situations of people watching it, but most don't want to deal with that. But we might consider it. There's a long list right now of videos. More than likely, it would be me doing it. And so see if I can get George to come out and about. Good morning, Bobby G. Heidi, hope you're doing well. Yes. Aren't maids affordable? Yes. For the most part, yes. Depends on where you actually get them, but yeah, I mean, for like high end, depending if they're living with you or not, $200-300 a month, and that would be 300 would be about 15,000 pesos, and that's what some of them living in, depending on what they do. If they're just coming in for the day, so I know people in this area paying 300, 400 pesos a day for someone to come in for the day. It just depends on what they're doing. And so that would be, I don't know, less than $10 a day. See, 1,000 would be about $10. So $10 or less a day. Only way I would help anyone is to buy them a small ticket home. Will contribute to it because not wasting my money to help anyone who will be in the same spot next month. And that's very good. A thought there, Bobby, because that was the deal with Expat John. People for a while wasn't seeing any movement on some of the stuff, and that's what happens. The same with Q's adventure. Sometimes he would take these people on and say he was doing stuff, and nothing happens. People won't keep dumping money into the same situation over and over again with no result. Who was that other guy? This is one I wish was here. We had that guy that was out in the province forever, Daryl, the one that went back to the UK. He all of a sudden we had done an interview, and then he started his own YouTube channel a couple of days later. Then he was collecting money for himself direct on air. Send me Gcash, do this, and he says I'm going to go back to the US. Then he had a bunch of people offering to buy his plane ticket, and they were like, "Wait a minute, we're not going to buy the plane ticket if he's not actually going to go get on the plane and go back and do something in the UK about his pension and all these things." And that was another person where their pension had went bad in the bank, and he'd spent up all of his money on the food truck, and that was really a mess. He had a bunch of real estate that his wife bought and sold, and um, that was really a hot mess. But yes, there's got to be some sort of like this guy. There is no open. they're kind of being fuzzy wuzzy on exactly what it's for. I know they're saying that he's lost weight and it's for his food and shelter and it's for medical care, and but I don't there's no end goal for it. They're not saying, "Hey, he's 100% going back," or, there's nothing. So this whole sit story is kind of everywhere right now. It was what were they saying? I don't know. To me, there's something in. I wouldn't have opened and did a live stream. Just, you realize there's like 100 stories I could do today, or but when I seen this, I was like, there's something going on. The guy does need help. Why didn't he leave when he had some money? You know, it's what process. Is it that much? You're talking about the entire one. Yes, I heard anywhere between 10 to 30,000. Probably depends on the airline, of course, and a lot of them, yeah, it's really going to vary. I don't think it happens that often. Most of them just they do the cremation thing or they just do something here. Most of them are married, or like right now there's guys that are found in like hotels and different things happening. The government's not going to do a whole lot with them. So I don't know if it's mass like burning or burials or just left to science. I'm not sure, but I don't think many. Does anybody know of people that have been sending their bodies back to the U.S.? Because usually, if these guys are in their 60s, 70s, or 80s, it doesn't make any sense to you. I don't know. That usually their children are up there in age too, and it's just a cost that they could use the money for something else. I don't know how often does it really happen. That's just me. I was surprised to find out Kaz was in the Philippines. I remember watching him compete. Dang it, gee whiz. I remember watching him compete. Sad to see him in need. Kaz. Which one's Kaz? I'm curious on that. Good morning. We're trying to find George Gaming Channel. Have a great one. Yeah, you're not going to find it. Unfortunately, me and George was just laughing about that. Trying to get the alcohol bottle because I don't know what it is. This is my coconut antibacterial or something. This is George's mic on this side. And when I sprayed the other one, I don't know if there's, I don't know what it is, but it's, let me stroke its mic here. All right. The other ones we will let you guys know. That channel, his other channel's been going for a while. And the reason being is you can thank all the trolls and he doesn't want to be disturbed and that we just are not at this point. That's George's wishes is it's a whole different world for George on that. And he's been doing it since the United States. So it's one thing, it's one thing. He wasn't even going to initially join like Philippine Antics itself. Like he wanted to do the traveling part of it. And then we'd like to do the live stream. So we were avoiding editing and he gets into the characters and everything. But unfortunately, that's just, you know, he wants to keep that one double private. Double private. We haven't given that out to even the closest people that we've known for years. Yes, they made their choices, but not the preparations. Yeah. I don't know. I think we're in some sort of allergy season thing going on here, and the only thing that seems to help is that coconut. Um, it's like an alcohol hand sanitizer because it just felt like my whole face was full of pet fur and dust and bugs and everything at once. Felt like a spider was on my face. Um, Basically, some sort of allergic reaction. Air Air ambulances is available from any airstrip in the world to any airstrip. Well, yes, of course. I mean, yeah, I mean, that's, yeah, so airplane to airplane. Well, they also have the helicopters. So when you mention air ambulances, I know, I mean, they call those also air ambulances. So burial costs in the Philippines is 50 to 55,000. The tomb or the ground 50,000, 5,000 a year for service, 60,000 for the urn, 10,000 per year for service. Is that pesos, correct? Because there's no way that's U.S. dollars. But I think you're talking about pesos. Because I know that, they range into the hundreds of thousands of pesos depending on where you go, how extravagant. And that's getting into that topic is just one that has never worked. We've attempted that before, and every time YouTube sends notifications that, hey, you can't, we get that and then have to go through editing, and so we just haven't. We talk to people like when we do one-on-ones through Messenger when they really want that type of stuff. And it's going to vary like the US. It'd be like asking a Filipino when they're over there in the US to ask them the same, hey, go find out what the funeral costs are, or to find out, how this and that. It's way cheaper here for sure. Way cheaper. There's lots of facilities. There's days of mourning, and unless you're Mark Thornton, it's where it is, people. Hmm. Let me think about that. Hmm. Maybe. Do I have medical insurance in the Philippines? Yes. Not a whole lot, but and the reason being is my medical conditions. Everything that I talk about and tell you guys not to do is going on with myself. Don't do as I do and do what I tell you and just do it, man. No, I have severe medical conditions. I'm being controlled on a daily basis. They're not like heart wrenching, like I need heart valves or anything. But I do deal with kidney issues, asthma, allergies, anemia, and lupus, severe lupus. I mean, I have like a really bad case of lupus. And then you add in a couple other issues that's going on with me, skin cancer, and it's hard to keep insurance on me, most definitely. So I pay for individual appointments. I have the ability to handle some big medical issues, yes. But as far as, it's not going to pay for my medications or anything. So, burial costs are covered. Oh, okay, cool. Um, how does that work? I'd be curious on that too. I don't. I know there's a lot of channels that do talk about that can be done. So I'm assuming it's possibly done through the VA or they need a law in place if you don't have substantial savings for medical if over a certain age or come with health conditions that they start denying people, but gotta stay for that killer coochie, right? And that's a true story. By the way, if you think about that, what the Philippines is starting to do is they're starting to monitor visas. So these expats, where they start talking in the last year that they're going to start monitoring expats on their visas, they will. The other channels just aren't talking about it. So people renewing a tourist visa for 3 years, going out of the country, 3 years, going out of the country, they're really going to start watching that because these guys, a lot of them have medical conditions, they're on little to no money, and then they come back in, and that's how come the SRRV has certain requirements plus medical exams and all of that, and then that's how come this new nomad digital visa, same thing with coming in, dealing with taxes and them having medical insurance and background checks, and they should start monitoring that, most definitely. I get it, but I don't know, is that a They should. But do all countries do that? And is that like a breach on people's, you know, I don't know, personal life? Can they get into their medical? I mean, I know you need to pass to get certain visas, but I don't know. I mean, I'm with it, and they could fake it too. They could buy a medical certificate. But no, I mean, I agree. But with me having medical conditions, then I'm like, I don't know if that would actually be fair. So that's just me being honest that, I'm not exactly anybody could be healthy and come in here and just stroke out. But I think having insurance or the ability to pay for it, yes. Smart cremation is at $35 a month. How's that work? Is that like a smartphone? AI cremation starts at $20 a month. Ah, Ted says burial costs aren't covered for vets. I had not heard that, but hey, I was willing to read the. I've never heard anybody say, "Hey, they're going to cover," but I was like, "Oh, game on that." I have air ambulance coverage through my employer. Gotcha. Yeah, I know that there is, but is that again? Is that just the helicopter, or are you? I mean, aren't there quite a few insurance companies and stuff that cover that? Like if they had to take somebody up out of the country and it's you can't bury you can't be buried in a government cemetery. Oh, you can be, yes. Hey, Hillbilly Pyro, welcome back. Is this the same John from a while back? No, this is another gentleman. I'll add it to the stage here and let you guys see the guy. He's an 81-year-old man that's been living here in the Philippines since the early 2000s. I think that's a Filipina he's married to, and he does like archive photos. He doesn't work for the government that I'm aware of, but he has been collecting photos and like posting them on different social media, like preserving things, showing how the Philippines is. And there's some Manila Society that put out some help, wanting help for him. Right there, it says a place to stay, medical and financial help. And it's like, well, where's the ending to that? But his passport was extended and he needs a replacement passport and he cannot get to his pension is all they're mentioning. They're not mentioning Social Security and he's an American. So he supposedly worked in the United States. I don't understand because it said when he retired from, maybe he never applied for Social Security because it said that when he retired from his aeronautical whatever is when he came here in '07. Well, that's, let's see, almost 19 years ago, 18 years ago. So he was over a certain age. So I don't know why. Maybe he just never went in to apply. Kind of hard saying, but they were just saying that he's lost a lot of weight, but there's a lot of other things going on with the story. And I just tell people to check it out. Or I like to be able to help them in person situation. Heidi, I think many of us have never learned to really manage money, and some who have left the US struggle here and took impulsive habits with me. Yes, and it's hard. It's harder here because things are a little cheaper. Not all things, but for the most part, we were just discussing things like George is getting ready for more dental work, and in the United States, it would be at least three times more or four times more. So I'm not. That's not an example of overspending money, but just things are cheaper here. And the same with like electronics and like things that we've been buying around the house, like air filters. They're way cheaper to buy these things. So I told George, it always seems like we're buying extra stuff because we think we have the money when we should be saving. And it is, it's hard. It is really hard. And you define being financially responsible is really adult like. So a lot of us just don't want to, it's like pizza or, okay. California Oscar, good morning. Hello, Heidi, and all lovely people out there. How is George? Don't know where he is. And do you have a TikTok channel? I hear it's not going to be working on Monday. Of course we do. Where you been, California Oscar? It's actually, I believe we have our TikTok listed in the About Us. It's always been in there. As a matter of fact, we have almost 21 or 20,000 people on TikTok. And so we've had millions of views on there too. So, and it's not going to affect us. Our accounts are Philippines, and so it's just being banned for Americans. So it's location. These accounts are accessible from the Philippines, and we can continue to post. It's just not what's going to happen is they're still saying they're going to move forward that if somebody doesn't buy it, they're talking about, what I even these days on all the information that's out there, there is it's like overwhelming. I was discussing this yesterday. And I want to say this again because I just seen even more and more crap. AI is telling misinformation. You have like where I don't intentionally give misinformation. It's because I've read this misinformation or you've seen it on another channel and you think you're getting it from one news agency that's supposed to be legit. As of 5 years ago, I didn't pay attention that Fox and CNN, like I was so naive. I didn't know these all were politically tied. I just remember CNN as a kid. I didn't know that this one agency was against one political party and this and that going on. In saying that, did you guys see where Mark Zuckerberg is, through Facebook, that they're actually, for quite some time, a lot of the accounts are AI? Like they put out a percentage of AI accounts to interact with people to get them used to it and to keep the algorithm going and to get people addicted. And I've been learning all kinds of stuff. So the whole thing is there's so much misinformation out there and it's really hard to navigate through it. And as I'm to understand, and several, I try to watch it from a slew of things. You get your regular, folk that cover it. Then you got your big podcasters with millions of views. Then you got each news agency. And sometimes you get it from the horse's mouth. They're saying somebody could buy it and that's going to stop it. And now Trump says as soon as he gets into the White House, he's going to stop it. So, he's in, but like physically in. So, but it won't affect us here. It's only a ban there in the US. Our accounts were installed here. So our access is through Philippine phone numbers. So it won't affect us. Now, somebody had asked me to cover cell phones and that type of thing before. And I tried to explain to the person that rabbit hole goes deep. And why does it go deep? It depends. It depends for the person. Like if you get some people keep their phones in the US and they keep paying an international whatever to keep it, or they pay that $20-$30 keeps the US phone number. They get over here and they keep it on like their Play stores and everything are still set for the US. But in order for some things to work here, you have to switch it over to the Philippines when you're living here long term. There's all kinds of different things to cover about having cell phones here. Like my iPhone is still set for the US, but all of our other devices that we've repurchased here are now set for the Philippines because you can't, it's just where it is. You can use a VPN, you could use a VoIP, you can use, it just depends. There's, some people bring over those prepaid phones, and so it's a lot to actual cover in a different manner. So I kind of went all over the place with that. But good morning, California. Yep, so true. You're soon forgotten, so don't worry. You won't have any feelings anyways. That is true. So true, Andrew. We talked about that with Mark Thornton. He's pretty much already been forgotten. Same with me. If something bad happens and I go off on a tangent and like do something bad with a jeepney running down the road and I'm like in my 70s and you guys will forget about me 3 days later. You talk about me, spread a little bit of gossip, spread a little happy love and all, and then boohoo, and then I'm gone too. George mentioned that almost immediately, that it doesn't take long. And unfortunately, even Elliot Eastman, we covered him for almost a month, did that documentary, and I knew that in advance. That once we started stopped discussing his name and like how this all happened to him and lessons to be learned, yeah, hardly anybody says anything about him anymore. So nothing about the family, nothing. Yeah, when you're gone, you're gone. 2025 money advice. Don't buy anything except for basic needs for retirees like me that have accumulated stuff. Yeah, it's It's a real thing. Every now and then I go through and purge. I'm like an organizer, believe it or not. It's like organized chaos sometimes. And George does good cleaning, but he's not like organized. Like you couldn't get him to organize shelves with like the food and what needs to be thrown out because George will save everything. So, um, but every now and then, if I haven't used these items for a long time, I start to give them away, and I have to stop that because I did that about a month ago, and we have 2 trash cans that we've hooked, like, with, like, locks so nobody steals them because these are not cheap trash cans. They're oversized ones like the United States, and usually people just hang one little bag of trash out at a time, so we do that so our live streams don't get disturbed, right? And so, like, a couple weeks ago, I did that, but I threw things out there like cups and glasses and stuff that I just wasn't using, we hadn't touched, and I'm not gonna keep them on the shelf, it was just taking up space, and so I'm not gonna sell them here either, and so, uh, it started getting the trash guys now. There's 3 or 4 that now come by every day since I've done that, and they did it just so that became a problem for me, guys. Joey. Oh, wow, that's an old photo, man. Interesting, Joey B. Isn't that guy from that futuristic, I've seen that photo before. I'm having problems with the Bank America here in the US, so being in the Philippines, I can imagine it would be a nightmare. Yeah, it is. And it's hard saying what it is, but you can't really deal with them. You know you can't deal with them online, so that's when you physically need to go in. And it does happen. Banking is a big problem. We've all been through it. Even Geo has gone over several times where he's had issues with bank cards and problems, and some have had to resolve by going back, is how serious it gets. But in a case like this and some of these other expats that had Social Security, it's a trip to Manila. And for me, I did mine totally by emailing them. They said, okay, you get X amount of Social Security and you have this type of Social Security, you do qualify. In other words, I'm not getting what I call the SSI, because you're not allowed to be outside the country more than 6 months. So my disability is different. So I've paid into it all these years. And they said, yeah, your type of disability can be done. And then they did the transfer. They was like, yeah, that can be done. And so they give you the forms, and I had them filled out, went inside the bank. And so I made 2 trips to the bank, there, and then to go back to get the bank book. Problem with Social Security being collected like that, you have to manually go in. There's no ATM stuck to it, but at least you manually, this guy could go and get his money every month. So that's why I can't understand why some of these other expats have been covered on other channels, why this wasn't done. So they should have had at least their passport or some other IDs. And if you're here long term, even if you're a temporary um, resident, you're still going to get a form of ID. So driver's license, something will, and then it's up to each bank. I did say that usually it does require permanent residency. Hey, California, you're right, Heidi. Living here in the US is hard right now, especially with all the people that are homeless now. California is approximately 30,000 looking for somewhere to rent. And I'm sure the numbers are going up. Um, and it's just going to be a land grab here soon. I was going to talk about that. I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to cover that by itself. I had initially done one live stream in regards to it, but and that's another thing. There's so many conspiracies out there right now with California. It's, at first people, I mean, I could have said it right from the beginning what was really going on. George already called it too. And now they're like, okay, this blame game, why this wasn't done. And now the conspiracy theories are all coming in. Oh, this was intentional. And how could this have happened? And the insurance policies. And it could just be all coincidence. That this becomes one big topic of conversation, but there's going to be a lot of people, and they're hiking the rents already, so everything is going to become a problem. That sounds like an interesting story to be a homeless American in the Philippines. Like what happened in the U.S. And then in the Philippines. Yeah, well, at least it's not cold for the guy. I was just on Walking Street. There's an awesome Korean restaurant near Valibago hotel. Only 300 for a massive seafood pasta dish with appetizers and a bowl of soup. Oh wow, that is really good. I just There was something I just seen yesterday, and I was like, oh hell to the nah. It was on Food Panda. There's a fairly new restaurant, and you could tell that they're just a new restaurant. They were charging for spaghetti and meatballs, and somebody showed a photo, and they were wanting 495 pesos. No breadsticks, no nothing. That wasn't with something or anything. That's a lot of money here. So even though you guys were like, "Oh, well, that's only, like $9, $10." No, that's a lot here. That's definitely a big portion of the Philippines' wages. It's actually a wage for certain people here, and just for a plate of spaghetti. So some of the restaurants have got astronomical, but there's always, really good deals. We went up to Candy Palace, and there was a couple beers, the quesadillas. We had a breakfast pizza, and I had like pineapple roulade. There's like a pink sauce over shrimp and pineapple and apples cut up. And George had some sort of pesto chicken. It was about $60. So it's close to 3,000 pesos with the tip. Now that would be astronomical, on other things, but we don't go up there too often. It is a loan from the embassy. They can also issue a travel letter in place of a passport. Okay. So I wonder why. I mean, well, I'm sure if they go through that entire thing, but they said that maybe that's what they meant by temporary. But he didn't leave then, so but I'm sure there are other things that are going on with them. Yes, it's a loan. You have to sign an agreement to repay if no family can help. They try calling like three family members. First seen that on one guy's vlog who was at the embassy. Yeah, I know there's been several of them. I was just living vicariously through. Not everybody experiences everything and can see things, and but I was pretty sure Paul had covered that too, because he has an inside. I have a Bank of America account, 25 years. Do you think they will close it? I don't know. If they go to send a card based on an ATM card, or the mail gets rejected from the address that it's going to. I mean, living outside the United States is not their problem. Like, they're not going to say, "Hey," but here's the thing I do want to let you know, and people don't realize there are phone numbers attached to those accounts. If they are not able to get to the phone numbers or the addresses, then they flag those accounts for actually something being wrong. You have to inform your bank you're living on the outside, but a lot of these guys don't do that. They don't tell Social Security. They don't update the embassy about their life. They don't, which all are different entities, by the way, and they don't tell their banks. Some of them just, and they'll say, "Oh, well, they don't have to because they're not living permanent in the residence, living as a resident in the Philippines." But a lot of them have been here for 5, 6, 7, 8 years, and it's like, but you do live in the Philippines, so they just don't, for what they feel are multiple reasons. And so our bank, the one that we had the Social Security in, we always updated them. And the other bank knows we're here. So the other ATM cards or the Visa cards are attached to it. We have to let them know that we're still here. But do you think they'll close it? Depends. There are so many people that are here that have their accounts, expats, where there could be multiple reasons that they would close it. Yes. There are other forms of ID and forms that can be used to cross borders. Gotcha. Paul Piers. The Philippine National Bank is what we use. Yeah, I think he's asking. Maybe you're asking us here or there. Um, yeah, he's not here. Okay. Where is George? Have we already used his funeral funds? Am I going to conduct a welfare check? He's still around. He's been on and off. Yeah, because I started doing these live streams, I think, a lot by myself about 2 weeks ago. He's appeared in a few of them. So he's been working, Chosen One. So I announced that to everybody. And I guess you didn't hear that the last few times that we were in the lives, because I got kind of tired of mentioning it all the time. But George has been working not only on his other, he's got other um, YouTube channels, and he also works a job, and he has been for a while. So when he joins the live streams, he's extremely tired. So he has Tuesday off. He still does some things, but Tuesday's his biggest day off, and that's one of our regular lives. So he'll be joining in on Tuesdays, and we've been releasing other videos in between. So your proof of life is there. There's no way to pre-record all those because Scott's in town and we're getting ready to release that video and everything. So, um, he likes doing the walkabouts. That you guys should know. Anybody that's been with us, walkabouts has always been his thing. And like when we were in Mexico and everything. So he likes getting out, interacting with the people. My medical condition does limit me because the lupus and being out in the sun, the heat. I come back, I like break out in hives. Yes, the exercise is good for me, but I ain't out there trying to break a sweat either. And I always talk about how domesticated I am and just domesticated. And so it kind of works out. And I got tired of like when he was sleeping or visiting his family or already out and about to be able to not do a live, you know. So like right now, sleeping. So he holds like weird hours. It's weird. Just about the time I get up, sometimes he's actually going to bed. So it's just living our everyday life, guy. So nope. You could come over and check on him, though. We joked about that. I got a deep freezer being delivered today. It's just George size too. Says it's able to hold like, well, no, I guess not. He can just put his junk in there. It says it holds about 60 pounds worth of fruits and vegetables and meat. We'll just put his junk in there. Put his video games in there. ACRI card holders. Annual registration is a godsend now. Yep. Even the express fees. Yeah. It's like getting 1 day back of your life. That is true. That is so true because everything takes so long. They started that about this is like the third year I think they've done it, and I didn't have to do it last year, but the original I think it was the first year, I thought I had to do it because I had an ACRI card, but I only got mine obtained through the tourist visa initially. So they let me make an appointment. I went online and it was kind of funny, but I found out, yeah, only certain people need to do that. So basically tourists are the ones, that don't have to, but everybody else has to do it. It's not all foreigners. A few of the vloggers said all foreigners must register, do the annual report. And it's not all of them. There's a big portion of they're just um, tourists. Oh, Huntington. Wow, I've not heard that bank in a while. Huntington never once had issues transferring money or with my bank card pulling money out of ATMs in the Philippines when I need to. Well, that's good. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, you got to keep them up to date in all manners. You can't let that like slip up in any manner. And some people will multiple use their ATMs at a place and then they think that it's somebody doing some sort of scam. And we've been hit before by trying to do an online purchase at the same time as like we have these different apps and then we get questioned on it. So we have had to call the bank several times. Yeah, I'm not sure what that is. Part two. I mean, I put that up for a minute. I'm not sure the consensus. Ask him if you are from my city that I listed, X for town. I would not mind sitting next to a corpse on a plane, right? Corpse on a plane, like snakes on a plane, man. Yeah. Yeah, that the show that I was talking about I was watching the other day is Tulsa King. I highly recommend Tulsa King. I think it's got 2 or 3 seasons now. I'm just getting through I just got through season 1 and watching it with George. Yeah, it's really cool. Yep, they'll be quiet, right? Amen to that, man. They would just have to cook me, right? Prep prep the US bank. We always have problem with debit card when in the Philippines. Yeah, some people do. It just depends. And here's another thing that me and George learned. When we were going to certain banks, it was causing a problem with the bank cards, and we had two different banks going on, and both of them it didn't matter. Some of them have some older equipment, and I don't know if that was setting it off. And then we had where some like we had cards replaced that had chips, and we've had to have our cards sent over by FedEx. It's the only way we would trust them being replaced. And same thing was still happening once we got the replacement cards because like, no, that's your card that's doing all that. And but yeah, some you just will. Yes, I got their credit card, also low fees, international use. People looking to move to Asia to save money, in your opinion, at what age do they need to head back home? I always thought the service for the elderly would be cheaper in Asia. No, it's not. So you would stay. I'm going to stay because I don't know too many of them that start heading back to the US. You just never know. Like my grandfather lived to 96 years old and he was still attempting to drive type of situation if he could. And so it just depends. I mean, we're just going to stay. George has a daughter here. We have family here. And so we're kind of relying on a family system and each other. My grandparents relied on each other. They didn't go into no nursing home. Although dementia runs in my family, which is a little scary because George could still be 80 and gaming, and I could be sitting there pulling my hair out or something and not being fed, and he can just feed me a pudding every couple days, a pudding cup. Who knows? But I don't know. Most don't do that. So I wouldn't necessarily say people make a plan. The thing is, you need to have some sort of plan. And yes, in my opinion, some of the nursing facilities are several thousand US dollars. And I'm like, well, wait a minute. If my pension, I call Social Security now pension. If true, if the Social Security that I'm getting is at 2,200 US dollars, yes, it'd be like the US. You're giving them 2,200, and these are not even what I would call up to par facilities, although they're not exactly up to par in the US. So there are some nice ones that would cost way more, and I don't know, guys. I can't see it either. So I guess in a worst case scenario, maybe there'll be more money saved and we may have to. So that would be our worst case scenario. Um, or with the cost, you would bring somebody in, which is something else that me and George have discussed. So the nursing staff you can bring in at a decent price. Some guys rely on hiring in somebody to come in and cook and clean and check in on them. That can be done for several hundred US dollars a month. But right now it's just me and George, and then possibly bringing somebody in. That's why we're trying to save now, trying to be a little responsible, or I just don't get thrown a pudding cup every now. So. Those with sufficient funds will be taking care of. The problem is many outlive their money. Yes, that is so true. So true. Philippines for 9 years, just a Chase debit card works everywhere. No need for a Philippine bank account. Yes, Chase is a good bank. So now, understand, as I'm to understand, there were a lot more Chase banks here. There are not as many of them here, even in the last few years. But yeah, Chase is a good bank, and I'm. Does that work the same for you, Jim? As far as it being open in the U.S. versus the banks here, do they still like deal and everything? Like if you had to physically go in, did you ever have to go in and talk to them? Well, that's good. It works for some people, but in a case like this guy that had not been home in forever, I can't see that either. Right? Hey, B. Nunya. Nope. I'm just going to open a GoFundMe. That's my medical insurance policy. That is for sure. Hey, Heidi. Was that Ray Charles on Blues Brothers? Not sure. Did I? Right. All right, guys, I'm gonna wrap this up. It just seems like people get that sick. Why in God's name? Why not go home where there are good hospitals and insurance? Or, like you say, Heidi, if you get very sick, bills the high, you would leave. You're smart. Yeah, I mean, there's still a possibility. We still have family. It's not like all of our bridges are burned, but some guys do. Understand a lot of these guys do burn all bridges. Like some are just out of divorces and they come over, they're fighting with their family, they come over, and there's no way to go back. We have friends and family, we can go back. My insurance, of course, is through the biggest part of it is Medicare. So I could go back and just use that and then, pay whatever the fees are, the percentage that they need to take out. But yeah, I still have that option. The problem is getting to be is medically. Like, my toleration of flying back would be very painful for me and being able to go back because my health is declining, but getting better on another hand. In other words, I need to be like in my environment. So you put me outside my environment on an airplane where my legs are swelling and my kidneys are bothering me, my skin's getting itchy, I'm used to taking a shower like twice a day to cool down my skin and taking certain medications. When I do traveling, I don't take most of my medications that kind of help with all these things. And so it's really rough for me to do this type of travel. And it is for a lot of elderly people or people with medical conditions. So, um, but in an emergency, yeah, I mean, it'd have to be what I would have to do. But some just won't do it. I don't know if it gets to be, I don't know the reasons. A lot of these guys are just refusing to go. And the crazy part is if I just went like that and said, "Hey, I'm not renewing my visa," they would have me like roped off, man. But these other guys are just walking around in front of cops and people and everything else, and they're homeless on the streets and hanging out in the bars and nothing. So maybe they drop. I don't know. Maybe they drop a couple beers. I don't know. It says vets get burial plots and honor guard. But they get them here? Did they take them to the cemetery here? Ted said. I mean, is that back in the U.S.? Oh, okay, got you, John. It's on the card, yeah. That's sweet. There are a lot of them that are like that. And for the homeless goats, I mean, really, how can any country allow indigent folks? And legally, I mean, relying on locals, yeah, to feed them, and no different than being on 175 with a sign of laziness. Yeah, and a lot of the Filipinos are disgusted, and the other expats when they see these guys. They said there's even some of 'em, and I don't know. I mean, I personally can just say what they're saying. There's 1 or 2 of them here they're saying has been doing it for years, and some of them say that one of them's even got an apartment. He just goes out there and collects stuff and eats and stuff just to save money, and I think that's where, other people are right on that stuff, that they just don't trust a lot of these guys anymore. The VA does not pay one thin dime to bury you. The government will only pay to the government. Sorry, I was looking at two different things here. Will only pay to bury you in a veteran cemetery. You'll be lucky to see a local honor guard today. They play taps on electronic bugle. Oh wow! So I hear you, Ted. If you want to save some money with George's dental work, I have a pair of pliers you can borrow. That's how they do it in the province. Oh my gosh. No way. No, he's got to have a crown. And I started getting like, I was like, what do you got? Like some other girlfriend you trying to impress to have like your tooth like in a little pretty old crown on it? That's what I was thinking. I was just going to get out a nail file, man. And let me fix that for you. And I'm like, I said, George, when you went to the dentist, did you talk to him about, the ones in the back that actually need like either pulled or whatever? And he's talking about, oh, my gums are receding. And I was like, hey, I get it. It just, there are some things that you can actually do, but he does need to get some done in the front. So, yeah, he's had a lot of dental work in the US, and we were joking around, but I was like, it's like, what are you talking about receding? I said, what about the ones that are like a hole in the back? I said, we live in lawless here, and we're living like on the edge here, and we're living like the wild, wild west, and you're talking about receding gums? let let me know when, like you said, get them pliers out and get a hammer and pop that sucker out. Are you kidding me? I mean, I don't know, for those that didn't hear about this, just a few months ago, my arm got dislocated. I fell outside and I slipped. It was during the rainy season, and I'm a big girl. And I went to go down the stairs. I was in and out all day, all my energy in the first part of the day. And I went to go step out, and it was raining, and the steps have some of this marble tile on it. And just as I stepped out, I grabbed onto the door, and it totally dislocated my arm, totally popped out of place. And then I twisted my knee, and so I could not get up from off the ground. Now, if I was down on the ground and didn't have my shoulder popped out of place, then I do have the ability and the strength to lift myself up. I probably wouldn't be able to do it just by rope. I'd have to like crawl and anyway. So I had to wait for George was out, and he's like, "Well, I'm at the mall, blah blah, doing this recording." It's when he was recording all them food things in the mall when he got pizza and a bunch of other food. I said, "I need you to come." I said, "I pulled my arm out of place," and I said, "It's definitely dislocated." And my whole arm went numb, and I couldn't feel my fingers or anything. And so the neighbor came and helped me. I was like, holy crap. So I came in, and she got her and her daughter helped get me up, and I had to use my right arm up on something to get up off the ground. And then I had to pop it back into place, guys. It was nasty, man. And so at first I was dangling my arm over the side of the bed and the couch trying to see if I could do something where I could snap it in place. And finally, man, I just boom right up against the wall. And I kind of did like I don't know how, but it was a miracle because I was in so much pain. It was worse than childbirth, recovering any of the surgeries I did. It was like times 10. But man, you're right. Got to tough that crap out, man. But that made me open my eyes to not having instant help. So I got so used to George being around, but my neighbor is a blessing. We have really good neighbors. So get to know your neighbors, guys. So you have to realize not all are untitled or that are okay, entitled to SS. Many I help do not qualify. I wonder, but if they work, they do. So unless he just never paid taxes, it's very rare that they don't. So, I mean, can you elaborate? Let's see, I don't know how far down I am on this. Yeah, because I'm going to wrap this up here, probably another 10 minutes. I am 71 years old and don't get Social Security. Oh, that's right. I'm not American, but I do get 3 pensions, which gives me 110,000 after taxes. Oh, that's right. I don't know why. This is something I've been hearing a lot here lately, is that why do people rag on the Americans for getting Social Security? So many of these other countries every country has their own benefits, and it's kind of hard. I'm not saying you are. I'm just saying in general, I've been hearing other channels that rag constantly on Americans, but I understand also that's his full content too. And but yeah, oh, that's right. I'm not American, but the other guy definitely is American. So um and I'm gonna get my benefit like everybody else does. Most definitely. And that's good you have 3 pensions. 100%. But that was nothing on you personally. I'm just saying in general, I keep hearing that where they're like, oh, Americans and their Social Security. And I'm like, so? It's kind of like one of those things that I'm like, okay, and It's mm, we hear about all these medical emergencies with expats, but no one ever mentions how Filipinos deal with these situations as part of daily life. Yeah. Um, You do, and that's the good thing about having George on, or why I'm, having him do more walkabouts so people can see, like what's going on. But here's the thing: that's just it. I figured, and George figured that if Filipinos can deal with these things on a daily basis, that I could, and that he could, with him being Filipino and his family here. But it doesn't exactly work like that. It really doesn't, because I thought I could deal with a lot of things, and I've been through a lot of crap. Well, everybody has, but I mean, I can tell you right now, a lot of crap, and it still shook me to the core on some of the things that goes on here, or the things you have to deal with. Then you just become kind of passive about it, and you get desensitized. And then when you start dealing with the medical, like I've got full medical books here, I've got full medical supplies. More than likely, if I cut my hand wide open, I'm not going to an emergency room. No way. I'd be way, even in this area, I'd be way better off to deal with it myself than to actually go in. And I'm not saying it's that bad, but you should be prepared in all emergencies too. And so they just deal with it. A lot of them don't go. They do that. They do their own stuff. They go to like Hmong healers, and a lot of them will not. They will actually just not. They don't have the finances to do it. Some just won't do it because it's just the way that they were brought up, and they deal. Got to think like a Filipino. Matter of fact, interesting. But uh, give me an idea on. Well, if they don't get Social Security and don't have any type of income at all, then they have no right to be in another country. Really, come on now. A lot of them do just bring savings. Some aren't, won't even see it for 5, 6 years. I've seen them attempt that. And then a lot of, and the craziest ones I've heard of, I'm bringing $20,000 and I'm going to start a business with my girlfriend. Like that 90-day fiance creep guy that came here and then they ended up having a baby. No job, no nothing. His ideal of income was doing a sorry, sorry store. She's like, oh yeah, we can make a ton of money and we can just live on that. And there's like a whole entire family and stuff. And I guess for a Filipino, that would be okay. And so, that 90 Days Fiance show doesn't pay out forever and everything. So now he's just over here living now. And yeah, them are the ones that's kind of out there. But like this guy, the only mention was his pension. And even as an American at that age, according to his history, he did work. So I don't know why he wouldn't qualify. He's at the right age. He worked. He's living in a country he can. Where's the other disqualifications at? So there would be something. I mean, I get that some collect pensions off their previous spouse, their Social Security off. I just can't imagine the one rule I'm not thinking about where he shouldn't have been able to. Now, the only one is if he really didn't truly work and all this stuff was under the table in business and he didn't pay his own taxes, possibly, or, he just didn't have the qualifying credits to actually do it X amount of his life. And that might have been a possibility. But I don't know about that. 40,000 pesos in the Philippines got an estimate of 17,000 in Texas. Yeah, that's a big difference. So yeah, less than 1,000 US and 17. Yeah, no, there's a big substantial difference. I paid 1,600 for 2 crowns and found out that it was going to be like 25. Right? Yeah, as I told George, the one that he's having, they're calling it a tooth jacket, which basically he doesn't need a root canal or anything. He just basically needs a cap. We used to anybody get one of those silver caps when you was a kid? Like, I heard that was really good for you. That's probably what's wrong with me now. There is a veteran cemetery in Clark, yes. Burial is done. Local VFW donations from many local veterans. Gotcha. Yes, I can't watch my Hulu or Peacock when I'm there. I hate it. Will a VPN work? Is what I was wondering. Here's the thing. It depends. You've been told that it actually does. Let me give you an idea. It does for some things. Like I'm able to sign into that. I think it's called Vuyu or that one that was at Walmart where you got all your digital videos online. I am still able to sign into that. Now we've used the VPN. Like we only signed up. We had a Netflix account in the U.S. and we let that once we were here for a few months. We let it go because it's a substantial discount to sign up for it here. Now, if I want to see the one for the United States, you can use the VPN. It still doesn't pick up on certain shows. It still doesn't sign in for me. Now, I've tried it several times because it's a Filipino account. It's weird. So some things, depending on where the accounts are from, could. I haven't attempted to see on Hulu itself though. Some it doesn't work on those accounts. Yeah, yeah. As soon as he gets up, I get him. When I get him, his bacon and coffee. Coffee. He wouldn't throw me a pudding pack. I know that. Eh. I'm. I'll make George a smoothie. I'm on this smoothie kick, right? And so basically, I just throw like chia seeds and oats and peanut butter and all this stuff in there and add up all these bulk calories. I probably end up bulking up even more, right? Um, I told him that I bought this bag of frozen fruit that said it had kale in it, and it was like 1,200 pesos. Okay, it's not that heavy. You would think it'd be a bigger bag here in the Philippines for almost $25. $25 for frozen fruit, and it's not bulk size. It's I don't know. I think it's 2-3 pounds worth. But I was kind of buying it because the kale was in there. I said, the green, the better. And George was like, I got something green for you. And I said, sit down, little boy. Sit down. And so I said, look, we open up the bag and there's teeny tiny pieces of kale. Like they looks like they took one leaf and then they cut it in half, and then sliced that up and put it in there. I was like, dang it! I paid the other bag was like 600 pesos. I paid double because it said it had kale. There's really no kale in it. And George is like, well, that's okay. I don't like kale anyways. He goes. I said, George, you're not going to taste that kale in there anyways. He goes, oh, yes, I will. So what did I do? I made him a smoothie and I dropped. I have that mix that's from California with broccoli. I took like two big sprigs of broccoli and threw it in. I said, gave it to him. He's like, oh, this is pretty good. I said, it's got broccoli in it. So I had to get to him and stuff. 25 years, never a problem with Bank of America. It happens. Who knows what it is? Anything could go wrong with the bank, but maybe the guy's making it up. Who knows? Maybe he was starting in advance to collect for some reason, but he's been going on about it for a while. And it does happen. That is a big problem here. It's hard saying what it is. Did he overdraw the account and they start taking out fees? Did they who knows what it was? Did he transfer and it caused a fee to do something? Who knows? Does his kids have access to his account and went in and took something out and then caused something? Or did the mail bounce? Or did his son move? And there could be anything. You might not have. I mean, can you tell me, Al, for 25 years, you're living here in the Philippines? So how are you doing the collection of your debit cards? I mean, 25 years would indicate you're up there in age. So you have children that are, or your grandkids are like the mail's going there, international mailbox, which still can be a problem, by the way. But I'm just curious on the different ways that you've secured the account with being gone that many years. Not everybody has kids to do that or a second residency and, gathering the mail and all that. So, but that is long term, yes. But it does happen. You can also add a secondary US account for me. It's my dad in case I have issues while I'm there for 6 months. Yeah, you can do a power of attorney like for a kid that you can trust and stuff. Um, for 6 months, a year, but God willing, haven't had any issue yet. But if so, Dad to the rescue. Which something needs to be done. People need to make these plans. Yeah. Yes, thank you. I'm really bad with names. My dementia, brain fog, lupus situation kicks in. Even George said last night, he was like, "Chris, I'm acting like you sometimes." He goes, where you just stop midway and you had to think and you ask me questions. He goes, it's been like that lately. And I said, could be that vaccine got to you. He goes, yeah. But we both had some sort of serious brain fog. Yes, Casimir, the former world's strongest man, Kaz. Oh, that's who we were talking about. Thank you, Curtis. Kaz. I didn't take the abbreviation, Curtis. Kaz. Yeah. Okay, gotcha. Ah, see, that's what I mean. And that's another thing in this day and age with the internet, crap. Our minds are overloaded. Like, that's why I take breaks and just listen to music or I create the soundtracks. Like we have two different music channels that are like included, like where we just like do the creation of music, and then we have a sound one for like to play at nighttime to relax you and sound blockers. And we're working on that one because we use them personally. And so you have to listen to music and chill. But when I get on YouTube just to look at one or two things, all of a sudden there's like a million things to look at, all these different things going on, all different people telling it. And once you look at one article, they feed you a bunch of others, and it's an overload of information. It really is. So I think that's also contributing to people's issues. And for me, being as I was an ADHD kid, I was one of those kids on Ritalin, and it was hard for me to focus as a kid, and it still is. It's like, if a squirrel goes by, it's like squirrel. And it's like that. And I'm like so distracted within a few minutes. And so it's hard with me sometimes on the internet when there's all these different articles and I'll watch them for a few minutes. People like us, they'll go in, they're like, oh my God, so and so did this, and that. They look at the thumbnail. Some don't even go into the videos and already assume stuff. Or to only watch for a few minutes, you have to get in there and watch. But people don't have time or the attention attention span. But yeah, see, I'd already forgotten his name, and that's crazy. I see him every day on Facebook, but there's so many names, and it is harder the older you get to maintain all that. Use a bank that is used to having account holders worldwide. Many problems arise due to the account holders not telling the truth of their current address. Yeah. I get emails whenever money is pulled out of the account to ask if I had made the transaction. If I don't verify, it was suspended the account, and then have to log into the app or you call nobody. Yeah, here's the thing. I'm trying to think of which bank did that. Was it Wachovia? Was it Wachovia? I don't know. One of the big banks in Florida had done that. And when I went on the cruise a few years ago, and I was in Miami, so I was like in 4 different places. Yeah, they shut down my card, so I had multiple cards, and Citibank too. So when I started using cards, even though I had called and let them know each city, it still actually happened. It could just be there was a transaction in Miami, and then next thing you know, there's one in Mexico, and then one in Belize, and so it just became kind of all over the place. It sounds like you enjoy doing these open or talk and don't have to edit, and you can make about the same amount of money. So why don't you just do this all the time? Well, the reason we do because we like to interact with the people. I like to interact with the people because we still have a core audience, give or take. When we put out a video, is about 1,000 people that watch. These are hardcore people that have been watching us for a while, so it just shows us outside. So we don't edit as much. So yeah, that's all. So, and also, like I said, we're doing it as a side hobby. It's not about the hustle of the money. Although I was thinking this morning that it seemed like I got into the money talk the last time, like ragging a little on the P and some of these others that are collecting all the money. And somebody was like, it was like, Heidi, you're just jealous because they're getting money. And I'm like, I like money too. That's like Heidi said, you should have just been more realistic. That's like having a conversation. It's okay, Heidi. It's okay. I like money too. It's like what I mean, we get it. The whole point is that there is some money to it. It's the excitement of talking to people, other expats. You kind of do get bored, which is another topic up and coming, because boredom is a real thing. It's I can only start my routine every day and breakfast and toast and the pets and taking care of the animals outside and visiting with them, visiting with a few neighbors. You go to the market and then it's 10:45 a.m. and I'm like, dang. So it's true. It does set in. You can only go so many places, spend so much money. Be the same in the U.S. As a matter of fact, in the U.S., you're lucky to have the Alpo diet over there on top of everything else in retirement. What they call that book, Alpo Dietary Retirement or something. But it's just where it is, guys. Where it is, just where it is. I want to send you money for coffee, but I don't see the. You asked that the last time, sweetie. It's in there. I explained the last time where it was. It's you have to go in the about us. It used to be in the description. I believe it's still in the description. Uh, my face is still itching. All right, so I took it out of the description because it was just taking up space. Most people rarely go in our descriptions, but in the about us, it's there. So on that back page that shows you your numbers in your phone app or whether you're on your desktop, it's in there. The buy me a coffee, PayPal's, and all that. It's been listed there for years. So, but I appreciate it. The U.S. is the U.S. is losing its most successful, intelligent, high class, and best looking men to the Philippines. Oh, okay. You're right. Will the U.S. be able to recover from the Expat brain drain? Yeah, who knows? Maybe. 96 years old, still driving. Respect. I will still take a drag race challenge every now and then. Well, what it is they had already taken his license. He was still trying to drive. So no, at a certain age they pull it in Florida to begin with. Um, but actually, I think there is a specific cutoff. I think there is a cutoff for you have to be able to pass the eye exams. But he was just still driving. So as a matter of fact, it was kind of scary. To be safe, I have different credit cards, a US and a Philippines debit, because at times the only will work depending on the locations. Yes, I just started using Wise for my transfers. That's another thing is that now we have the Philippine National Bank now has Social Security, and then there's a second account just the regular savings in there too that we have a card. So we just obtained that one. We also have Metro that has the credit card attached to it and a debit card. And then we have the bank in the US. And so we have multiple forms, but I still feel like something could go wrong. So there's other incomes coming from George's business into Metro. So we have multiple streams, but which will help with some things. I mean, with this guy, he just doesn't have the money either. So he keeps talking in his Facebook like there's already money problems, guys. So he's already talking about just not having money. So this guy's got a lot of different things going on. So yes, it's true. The U.S. expats that go to the Philippines, high IQs, high class occupations, real movers and shakers. I don't think the West can recover from that, right? Yeah, some. I use Wise, yeah, and Navy Federal Credit Union. I haven't messed with Navy Federal Credit Union since my first husband. He was in the military. Daughter was born at MacDill Air Force Base. To go home, first and last month's rent plus deposit, furniture, food, transport, car, winter clothes, 10,000 to repatriate. Are you saying I don't even think that would be enough? That would probably, I mean, I'm sure you can find a city and everything to do that, be a start. I mean, so my question would be, is you're talking about repatriate, you're talking about like people going home, that would be a fair amount of money. Hey, what's going on? Shout out from Brampton, Ontario, Canada. Black Grandpa is in the house. Curtis, thank you. Guys, I want to wrap this up. This was really supposed to be a quick thing about another expat John Tewell. Um, you can go check him out on Facebook. You know, it's up to each individual if they want to help the guy. We're not collecting for him. Um, I feel really bad for him that everything's falling apart, but you know me, it's an opportunity for me to say, "Hey guys, get your bank accounts together." I'm curious why he doesn't have Social Security, and it wouldn't make any sense being the guy has, you know, a work appears to be a work history, so there shouldn't be any reason he's not. So I imagine if there was, they would have mentioned it. So I don't know what the disqualifications are. And he does have a appears to be a Filipino wife, but medical issues. She has heart issues, so he has like some severe medical issues. It looks like some malnutrition. Looks like he's been living in low end places. And when we talk about low end, like where we're living now is not smancy, but it's a 2 bedroom, 2 bath, clean AC. You know, we've got our own area that's got a gate on it and everything. This guy looks like he's living in a place that's about 2,000 pesos a month, and you don't want to come here and live like that either. I mean, at that point, then yes, I would have to go back to America possibly than to live the way this guy's living. But um, he's got himself in a predicament. His passport's expired. So just to wrap it up, the guy's, you know, got a lot to actually correct. They say he's being helped at a hospital. So I just wanted to put that out there, guys, to really think about your retirement before you come here. Or, you know, even just to visit, you really need to think about it, bring extra money and all that. Okay, guys. So I'm just going to do a quick goodbye to you guys. And I appreciate you guys stopping in. And then we will see you on Tuesday. All right, guys. So be sure to like, subscribe, comment. And if you guys aren't a member of our Philippine Antics member club, get in there and get that membership, guys. You're missing out. All right, guys. All right. Bye. Hey, bye.